Morning. Morning. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Richard. I was woken at 4 a.m. this morning. Didn't get back to sleep for a couple of hours.
Well, we're
Very
both
annoying.
we're both a bit tired. We were out late last night, but more of that coming up here on
I thought you were going to say this week's
here
Sunday Chat.
on the show, which is called
Sunday Chat.
Yeah, we should do that thing where we say the thing that should come after first.
That's two Ronnies, isn't it? It's like that mastermind thing that they did where he answered the question that hadn't been answered yet, asked yet.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
No, please, no, please. So welcome to the show.
Sunday Chat!
That's right.
That's better, yeah.
The energy levels are a little low this morning because, we were out late last night, but more of that coming up on
Sunday Chat!
I'm stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
But more of that coming up. Oh dear. So, I suppose I'd better have a look at the list.
Well, I know how it starts.
Well, it's a new month as well, so...
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Binge punch, not first of the month, but hey, we're in May.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Hey, we're in May. Yeah. So it's unbelievable for me that 4 months of this year has gone by already.
Well, that's how it goes. The calendar moves forward and time ticks on.
I sort of felt that March seemed to be the normal length of month, but April seemed to be really sort of quite short. But of course it wasn't. I mean, it was 30 days rather than 31, isn't it?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Shush now, Paul. Honestly. So, first of all, welcome and thank you for following us, supporting us on our coffee page and subscribing here on YouTube, and also following us on platforms such as Facebook, which currently isn't working for Paul.
No.
Something's happened.
Yeah. So I might not be on Facebook for a while until that gets sorted.
You can't uninstall Facebook
Anymore on the phones, no.
You used to be able to uninstall it and reinstall it and it would kind of fix any issues.
Yeah.
You can't actually uninstall it. We've tried.
Yeah.
We've tried.
Yeah.
We've looked into it.
So it's but I'm using my correct password and all of that, but it's just saying unable to log in.
You shouldn't even need to use your password.
Well,
because
yeah,
the Google remembers it for you.
But then I went to my tablet because my tablet was working, and then it updated. Facebook updated. And it's not allowing me to log in there either.
Bloody updates.
Yeah, so maybe I'll be able to go on my desktop and go on, but maybe I won't.
Maybe you won't. Maybe you have Facebook holiday, Paul.
Yeah, Facebook bank holiday, or maybe even longer. Yeah.
So yes, we're on the bank holiday weekend. It only seems like 5 minutes since we had Easter.
Well, it's only 2 weeks, isn't it?
I mean, this is why Easter needs to be a fixed date.
Absolutely. I think they should fix it when the kids have half term at the end of March. That would be the sensible thing to do. Spread things around a bit.
Because next year Easter is at the beginning of April next year.
Right, which means the year after it will be at the end of November. Yeah.
Silly.
Yeah, it's all something to do with things that aren't anything to do with anything, really.
Lunar.
But I mean, you've got. I mean, this is where religions are really bizarre because, you go with lunar, which is pagan.
Well, yeah.
So you peg your beliefs over here and your days of your religious things to pagan things. And then there's been an awful lot of chagrin about pagan things in Christianity and other religions for very many years, but still they hold true to those holidays and lunar things. And shush now, Paul. Shush now,
I don't have to say it. He says it himself now. I've trained him. It's called conditioning. Classical conditioning. Look it up. Right. When I ring a bell, he makes the dinner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I sort of do. Yeah.
Keep on doing it, Paul. So, we wanted to say thank you to Jay. Jay was very, very kind and sent us a parcel all the way from Australia.
From
That's
very
right.
dry Australia. That's weird.
Don't do an Australian accent, Paul.
I'm not very good at accents. No.
Jay was very generous. He gifted us a couple of little cameras that are called bloggies that he was no longer using and thought we might be able to use them, seeing as I've had a few issues with shaky camera work. So I'm just still getting used to how they work. Worked it out, no problem. They're quite simple to operate. But the only thing about them is on your mobile phone, the light gets adjusted very dramatically to account for different lighting conditions. These don't seem to do the same kind of thing. So you have to make sure the lighting is adequate and flattering.
Do you think they work with light rings, ring lights?
Well, ring light is a light, that's it,
Yeah.
But in bright sunlight, they're really good. In darker conditions, not so good. But thank you, Jay, really useful, and actually might be useful in doing multiple camera angles. So thank you, very generous. And Jay also gifted us a block of Australian Cadbury's chocolate.
Yeah.
So we could see if there was any difference. And actually, and I know Cadbury's chocolate very well, there's no difference. I think there must be a global recipe now.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, I don't know, because it didn't seem any waxier or more solid in any way, shape or form. The taste was exactly the same. So, yeah, but it's appreciated. Thank you so much.
Is there any left?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, we've been good with chocolate recently.
I've had 4 of them, or 6 of them.
4 of them?
Little cubes.
You've had more than that.
Have I?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Very generous of you.
Yeah, and there were a few other things in there as well, so thank you, Jay, for those as well. Yeah.
So, we usually kick off with Richard and Paul's weather report. So, Paul, what has the weather been like this week? Well, we've had a mini heat wave, haven't we, Paul? Yeah, we have. Mini heat wave. You wouldn't know. Got my cardi and my scarf on.
But it sort of broke yesterday. We were at an event, and about 5 o'clock, there was some thunder. You could hear thunder rolling in the background, and then it rained. And it rained relatively heavily.
Yeah.
But we saw, and then it went into a sort of constant drizzle for maybe about half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. But when we saw other people later in the evening, we were at an event, when they raved, many of them were saying, God, that rain was torrential, wasn't it? And we were like, well, it was sort of, heavy, but I think it was more torrential around and about where we were.
So, yeah, the heat wave was quite intense for a couple of days, although I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed feeling the warmth.
Yeah.
Feeling the house feeling warmer. Not having to wear as many layers.
Not having the heating on.
Not having the heating's gone off now, turned off permanently for the summer.
And also we've noticed, or you noticed the other day, that our hot water is hotter than normal. There's more of it than normal, and that's obviously because the ambient temperature is warmer, so when the hot water comes on, it doesn't have to heat up to that ambient level. So
So, yeah, summer is on the way.
But today it's it's overcast. It did start with blue skies and quite bright, but now it's become overcast. And I think it's going to be sort of sun and clouds for the next few days.
And the temperatures are going back down to the seasonal average, around 15, 16 degrees, which is going to feel a lot cooler than that in comparison to the 30-degree heat that we've had this week.
But we'll get used to it, yes.
I did some gardening.
You did?
I did.
You've done a lot this week. Lot in the house and
I have a swollen hand. Well, no, literally, this finger is swollen and very, very sore through overworking. What?
He's overworked. He's overworked his finger.
I have. That finger I use for a lot of things. That finger gets worked hard. I should learn to become more ambidextrous, shouldn't I, really?
Yes, you should, yeah. Then you could overwork two fingers.
Well, I had that issue a few years ago where I was referred to the hand clinic, Paul. Thank you very much.
Yeah. What did the hand clinic say to you?
The hand clinic said I'd overworked the finger.
Yeah, and what did they say you should do?
That I should strap it up.
Yeah,
for
but
a
what
couple
did
of
they
days.
also say you should do?
Do exercises.
And what haven't you been doing?
I always do exercises, Paul. I do hand exercises every single day.
Well, let's see them.
I don't think I should be showing those kind of hand exercises on camera.
They're private hand exercises.
No, things like one of the ones that he showed me was the tabletop. So you have to have your hand.
That's Emu.
And you make a flat, and then you do that, and you're pressing the fingers to the thumb. No, you're not going like that. You're not doing a little puppet, Paul. You have to tense the hand and slowly keep the fingers together and slowly bring it towards the thumb. That is... No. You're not working it, Paul. Work it, bitch. Anyway, yeah, so very sore hand, but hey-ho, I can go on.
Yeah.
I can go on. I work through the pain. No, I fixed that pipe.
Yes, you did. You did.
Finally. I did the garden.
He didn't want me around when he fixed his pipe, so I was going to go to the allotment, but I didn't, because he was on the roof upstairs, and I thought, what happens if he fell off the roof?
I'm not going to fall off the roof.
Well, you never know, so I stayed down here quietly.
What, until you heard, ah?
No. Until I heard you go, are you still here? And I went...
Because I needed something
Yes.
pressing to me.
And he needed a sharper pair of scissors.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So that was done.
So I took those upstairs, and then I was sort of leaning out the window. And you can go now.
Yeah, I don't want you when I'm doing stressful things that could go wrong and involve water.
Yeah.
No, I don't want you around. I cleaned out the dressing room. Beautiful. That was such a lovely job, but it took me hours to do because it was filthy. Filthy. Well, not filthy, but very dusty.
I mean, you started on that at 3 o'clock and you finished at 7:15.
Yeah.
And you took like a coffee break, a drink break. That was it.
But it needed to be done. And nobody else is going to do it.
No, I went
Are
to the
they?
allotment and tidied that instead.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing some food from the allotment. So far, I've seen one asparagus stalk.
Well, you didn't see the other one because I ate it. Yeah. Well, the potatoes are coming on, so fingers crossed for those.
Well, I look forward to the potatoes.
Yeah, and there's going to our Taunton Dean
That's a cabbage.
perennial
thing, isn't it?
kale. Well done, Richard. Well done.
No, you don't need to shout at me.
Yeah, just surprised. That is sort of humongous. I'm going to be making cuttings of
Well,
that
if it's
and taking
humongous,
some
we
home.
should be eating it.
I think I'm going to do a kale and walnut pesto.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will do
Finally.
that. Yeah.
So lovely. It's been a strange week though this week. Hasn't it been a weird week? There's been weird things going on.
Oh yeah.
Weird things in the news. The power outages.
Yeah. Of
Weird.
course, yeah.
There was another electrical substation go up in flames.
In London.
Like the one at Heathrow a few weeks ago. There was another one in central London. Massive fire. Just ridiculous. What is going on? And then, of course, we've had the cyber attacks, Co-op,
Yeah.
and M&S.
Yeah.
I mean, how dare they attack M&S?
Yeah. Mad.
Crazy, crazy, crazy week. And the other thing I saw in the news, which I couldn't quite believe, is this thing about spraying the sky
Oh, yeah.
to make the clouds more reflective to get rid of the heat due to climate change.
To sort of dim the sun.
To dim the sun. Well, there's a couple of things. Brightening the clouds and also dimming the sun.
Why?
Look, I know there are plenty of people out there that believe they're already doing this and that condensation trails are chemtrails and all of that. Well, so far there's no evidence of that.
Yeah, paddle your canoe.
You get condensation trails on certain days.
Just like our windows.
If they were spraying the sky already with chemicals, you'd see it a lot more, but you only see condensation trails on certain weather conditions. So, don't start on that, please.
And the weather conditions in the UK are particularly vulnerable to those trails. So, yeah.
But
we see lots of them.
When they actually come out and say, this is what we're going to trial, that raises questions, legitimate questions and arguments from the general public. I don't think anything like that should be done without some form of consultation with the public at large to look at the ethical issues that surround that kind of, whatever they call it, is it geoengineering? No.
Yeah. Bio and geoengineering.
Whatever. So, when I saw that story, I thought we truly have flipped into a parallel universe now.
I mean, it's the same as all these billionaires, who are spending literally billions of dollars, billions of pounds, trying to get to another planet to create life and have human life living on another planet, but not spending that money on the Earth to make sure the Earth continues to be habitable.
Not even that, Paul. The stories that are going around in science news at the moment around mining the moon.
Well, yeah, no, of course, it's all about money. It's about profit.
You can't mine the moon. The moon doesn't belong to the Earth.
And the thing is,
a celestial body which is nobody's. Nobody can stake a claim on that ball of rock, which is responsible for controlling the tides.
Yeah.
Hello?
But if you start doing something there in significant quantities and start taking huge amount of minerals out, it's going to affect it, and we don't know how.
I mean, what are these things going to be used for? They're going to be used to make things to sell to people. So actually, more people we have on the planet, the more things people want. So again, it's another thing that comes down to population. We won't be able to sustain the population on the Earth. Anyway, let's not get too into that because it's all a little bit depressing.
And the other thing is the political atmosphere in the UK is changing and has changed. We had a number of major council elections on Thursday.
23.
Not in our area.
23 councils.
And Reform, which is right wing and is a protest party, it's never ever run anything. So it now has control of, I think, about 8 or 10 councils and also a mayor, another MP as well. They've never run anything, so now they're going to have to run councils, which is sort of, hilarious. And it's, I was talking to somebody earlier in the week, and they said, well, yeah, but what about the left wing? And I said, well, yeah, right wing is right wing. They're sort of like fascists. Left wing has given us unions. It's given us health and safety. It's given us holidays. It's given us a 5-day week. It's given us maternity leave. It's given us the amount of things that the left wing has given us compared to what the right wing has taken away and is wanting to take away. They are chalk and cheese. So when people talk about right wing and left wing and they're the same thing, no, they're not. One is giving to the people, the other is taking away from the people. So yeah.
I saw an interesting story that I wanted to mention about peanut allergies.
Right.
There's a guy that has been on a very, very highly controlled medical study. This is not something that he's done himself, but he had such a severe peanut allergy that he was, majorly hospitalised and, very, very ill. But they put him on a program where they microdosed peanut. I mean, real tiny, tiny doses over a period of time. And he now controls his allergy by eating 5 peanuts a day.
Wow, amazing.
But this has been done under major supervision with a lot of clinicians involved, so I don't recommend anybody try it.
If they have a peanut allergy.
If you have a peanut allergy. But yes, and they kind of reckon that children could be started on this program. In fact, I think they already recommend that very small amounts of peanuts are given to children, like tiny bits, and over time their bodies will accept it.
Right.
So really interesting study. So I just wanted to mention that there is hope for people.
There's also that person that has been injected with snake venom. Have you seen that? Over a long period of time, and they're finding that his blood now is really valuable in being able to create anti-venom. Yeah, I think that's fascinating. Don't recommend injecting yourself with snake venom.
I don't think anybody's going to do that, Paul.
No.
So, other things in the news as well this week. Paul, you wanted to talk about the book swap library scheme. Now, this was a scheme in stations in London, wasn't it?
Yes, Richard, yeah.
But it was recently changed. Why, Paul? Why?
Well, we had a terrible, terrible fire in London many, many, many decades ago King's Cross,
yeah.
Which killed an awful lot of people. And
87 was it?
Yeah, it was. I think primarily the cause was dust and rubbish accumulating in escalators, and then there was a fire. That dust and all of the debris caught fire. May have been from a cigarette, because I think they were smoking on the underground.
And the escalators were wooden.
And the escalators were wooden, and lots of rubber in them as well. So basically, the thing just became an inferno. And lots of regulations were brought in after that, immediately after that. This is what usually happens in the UK. A tragedy happens and regulations are brought in. It's a bit like after the Hungerford massacre with guns. There was a massacre in a town many decades ago. Immediately gun laws were brought in that were really, really quite strict. So with what has happened is one of the consequences of this is that books are obviously flammable. And last month, a whole load of book swaps, so just wooden shelves with books that people would put a book there, take a book away, were taken away because they were seen as dangerous to, would cause fire if a fire...
combustible materials below ground.
Absolutely. If a fire broke out, that would happen. And, I sort of get it, but it seemed a bit of a sort of, sledgehammer to crack a nut type of thing. But now they're actually bringing some of them back in.
Onto higher ground stations.
Onto some higher ground station, but they're also putting fireproof cabinets, fireproof bookshelves in. I'm not quite sure what they, books are still combustible, so I don't quite understand how that works. But they were saying that many of these were on wooden shelves, and the wooden shelves might have lacquer in them or polish on them, and that would go up really quickly. But it's good to see that they are actually bringing some of these back. We do have an above ground one at our local rail station, and it would be interesting to see if that has gone, or if that's still there, because our whole station is made of wood, isn't it? That our local station is an old wooden station, not the platforms, but the actual buildings and all of that.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because rules change all the time, and regulations change all the time. And I know this from having worked in the local authority for the best part of 18 years. I'm not kidding, but they would fit new fire doors, and 2 years later they'd all have to be refitted or modified because the regulations have changed. I can't tell you the number of times people have rocked up from facilities or a contractor, "Oh, we're here to do your new doors." And it's like, but they spent a load of money on this only 2 years ago. You're saying those things weren't adequate, or who on earth assessed that to be adequate, or are they on some kind of racket here? Do you know what I mean? That's what you begin to think, because local authorities have to spend that money if a regulation changes, or else they themselves will be fined. So it's easy money from a local authority or the NHS, isn't it?
Or the government, because we have another thing with we file VAT, value added tax. It gets filed every quarter for me and many companies. Some have to do it monthly, and we used to be able to do it just by filling in a form and sending that off to HMRC. Then they brought in an online portal through them, and we could do that electronically, which was really great. But then they said they were stopping that facility, but you had to go to a provider. So the one with HMRC was free, but you had to now go to a provider who you would have to buy that service from, and there was a whole host of providers. So just to file VAT now, I think it's about sort of like 40 quid, 40, 50 quid a year. Now what they're doing, there used to be a portal on HMRC where we'd be able to file our tax returns free of charge. Now that is going away next year. So again, we're going to have to go to a provider and pay for that. That's going to be about £120 a year on top of the £50 or £60 a year for that. So suddenly, companies are having to pay more money for services that used to be free through the government. And and I think it's about getting the economy going. It's about getting commerce going. And these are all the sort of nudges that the government is doing to get us to spend more money. Yeah.
Interesting. Talking about spending more money, you were talking about this course, BBC Maestro, which you have to pay for. Yeah. But it's a bit bizarre.
So BBC Maestro has got a whole host of courses on it. It's a
masterclass.
It's a masterclass service, and it covers a whole host of different categories: cooking, writing,
photography.
A whole host of different things. And it's a money making thing for the BBC, which is great. I that's fantastic. But I saw this new masterclass being presented by a very well-known author called Agatha Christie. Now, I know that Agatha Christie died very, very many decades ago, and I thought that's really odd. So I thought they got together various bits of footage, like how to craft, how to write, how to look at your characters, name your characters, and put all the actual footage together. But what they've done is they've created an AI Agatha Christie, with the approval of the Agatha Christie estate, Agatha Christie Limited, and it's a bit bizarre. I think they've sort of chosen an Agatha Christie of a certain age that I don't really know her visually at that age. And also the voice sounds a bit odd. I'm not sure whether I could listen to that voice
For any length of
for
time.
a significant length of time. And it's a course of, 8 or 10 or 11
I think they've
things.
broken it up, I think.
Well, they have. They have. I mean, it's 79 quid. We're not promoting it here, but it's 79 quid.
Really? That's
Yeah.
expensive.
Well, many of their masterclasses are more than that. I mean, The Guardian do masterclasses as well, and theirs are often very much more than that.
I'd have to look at the reviews of people who've taken the masterclass to be convinced.
Well, I don't have £79 to do the course with Agatha Christie chatting to me. But I've signed up to get a sort of free bit. You can have a trial freebie, not a trial period, but a sort of freebie. So I'm going to see what that is like and see how I get on.
Well, you know what I think we should do? I think we should feed all of the Sunday chats into AI and let it come up with an AI episode of Sunday Chat.
Sunday Chat!
Yeah, all right, you turning into an AI now, Paul.
That would be great.
Yeah. See what happens. See what it comes up with.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, tits and bums.
I'm sure there's a way
It's
of doing
probably
that,
what it'll
actually.
do. Well, there will be.
Yeah.
There will be, I'm sure. Maybe we should do it if it's free to do.
Anyway,
Yeah.
talking about, and
Yeah.
good segue there. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to an event at the Great Green Barn last night.
Friday night.
Because we were also watching the show and doing the bar, working the bar.
Mm-hmm.
It was, what's it called? Can't Stop Carrying On.
Yeah.
A one-man show, and it's all about it's the story of how Peter Rogers tried or attempted on several occasions to resurrect and continue the Carry On series.
Carry On films.
And about his relationship with the Carry On actors, a handful of the actors. So this was superbly played by, what's the actor's name?
Darren Haywood.
Darren Haywood. Yeah, it was really good. We really enjoyed it. It's only 65 minutes long.
Yep.
And so we had the show first of all, and then an interval, and then a Q&A.
Yeah. So Richard Leonard, who's a friend of Vanessa, did the Q&A, and we had lots of questions from the audience, didn't we? Oh,
I think that's something.
a bumblebee in our chimney.
Can you hear that?
Yes, so we had, there were lots in the audience who wanted to ask questions, so that was really great. The evening worked really, really well to have the performance, the interval, and then a Q&A afterwards. The Q&A went on a little longer than we had anticipated, but that was absolutely great. Everyone enjoyed it. And we also had Sue Douglas in the audience who came as a customer, and she was in Carry On Columbus, has been in very, very many other things, but she was also the wife of Jack Douglas, who was in a number of the Carry On films as well. And actually, I got a cookery book, I think the Way Hay Better Cooking book, somewhere, which he signed when I was about 8 or 9 in Guernsey, at a bookshop in Guernsey. Yeah, it's yeah. So it was a great evening. It worked really well.
Yeah, and the amazing thing about Darren is he is really good with voices. So he was able to emulate the voices of various actors and characters from the Carry On films, such as Kenneth Williams, Barbara Windsor,
Charles Hawtrey.
Hattie Jakes. Was just fantastic.
Sid James. Of
Yes.
course.
So, but it wasn't all about those characters, they appear as ghosts, if you like. So, you know, there's a sort of conversation that's going on, but really, really engaging show to see. So if it's in your area and you manage to catch it, you can look it up on social media. Can't Stop Carrying On. Yeah,
Great
really
show.
Good show. Really,
Yeah.
really good show.
Yeah, really good. And the company, Blue Orange, they're doing other shows. They're taking one to Edinburgh this year, I think, the Body Snatchers. So we're thinking about that maybe for next year. So that would be good, yeah. What's really lovely about everyone who comes to perform at the Great Green Barn is their sort of surprise at what the venue is and how the venue works and what it offers, because it really is quite lovely. It is. Yeah.
Good. So, what does the almanac say for May? So, we've got May Day, Beltane, International Workers' Day was also the 1st of May.
Oh, right.
And what's today? The 3rd. So, tomorrow is International Dawn Chorus Day.
Oh, yes, I did know that.
Oh, I'm really going to get up at that time.
Well, you never know. You might wake up at that time, yeah.
The 5th of May is the bank holiday in England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland and Ireland.
And the 9th of May... Oh,
why is this in the almanac?
What?
The 17th, Eurovision Song Contest final. What's that got to do with the natural cycle of the year?
And of course, to everybody in Guernsey, the 9th of May is Liberation Day, which is a big celebration this year for 80 years of liberation. I've been listening to... suddenly in my head, when I was working at the plot the other day, Sanya Cherie came into my head, which is the anthem of Guernsey. And it just came into my head and I started blubbing. It was really quite sort of odd. Not for hours, just for a moment, or 10 or 20 seconds or something. It's a lovely song if you can listen to it on YouTube. But it's about the island of Guernsey. Yeah.
25th of May is Rogation Sunday, which is Christian. I have no idea what that means. 26th is the second bank holiday. So what else is happening? Let's have a little look. So full moon in Scorpio on the 12th of May, seek and transform. Ooh. New moon in Gemini, be true and communicate. Interesting. Anything else to say?
Seeds to sow. We got there?
Hold on a second.
I'm going to be sowing quite a few.
Hold on.
More
gardening,
beetroot.
gardening. New moon to the first quarter, 28th of April to the 4th of May. Vegetables, bedding plants, hanging baskets towards the end of the month, once the frosts have passed. Direct sow, corn, salad, French beans, runner beans, sweet corn, Brussels sprouts, calabrese, cauliflowers, fennel, kale, lettuces, peas, spinach.
Lots.
So I'm looking forward to all of these things, Paul.
Oh, yeah. My squash are doing well. My Kirkabits are doing well at the moment. The squash, the courgettes and the cucumbers, Vivi's cucumbers. So, they're all doing well.
Good. So there's a little flavour. Now it's time for the intellectual bit. So broadcast day is the 4th of May.
Yeah,
Oh gosh, what's it? What? The Bumblebee did go. I think I want that word instead.
Well, go for that word then.
I'm going for this word instead because the other one's too hard. Okay. Fanticini. Chiefly found in the old dialect of Devon, the word fanticini means fancy or ostentatious, as first recorded in letters and poems in the Devonshire dialect by Nathan Hogg in 1847, where a lustful narrator remarks, Exeter maidens look well enough when they be dressed. Weigh their vine vanticini, gold things in their breast.
Is that your accent?
No, that's how it's spelled.
I know, but you say it with an accent.
I was saying as it was spelled. Pleasingly, the word is a direct borrowing of the Italian fantocini, meaning little puppets.
Oh, isn't that lovely? Yeah.
Well, what do they say? Everyone likes puppets.
Yeah.
So there we are.
My tomato seedlings are a bit fantascini at the moment. Yeah, they're doing well.
I'll give you fantascini in a minute.
Oh, I think
Shut up.
that's a word we should just keep in the dictionary forever and use, I think.
Well, I don't think anybody's taking it out of the dictionary, Paul. Right, final segment. Let's get it over with. TV, what have we watched this week? Well, we finished Heart to Heart.
Yes, after 5 series.
Yeah.
There are 8 TV specials
Apparently,
or something. Which
I don't
maybe
think they're
we've seen them,
available,
but
or
yeah.
whatever. But I mean, there's only so much Heart to Heart you can manage. I mean,
Yeah.
really. The whole thing about Heart to Heart was that every episode concluded. Every episode there was a reset, as though nothing had happened and everything starts again anew. I mean, literally, there's no PTSD in the Hart household.
No.
Because frankly, after the things that they've been through, I'd be rocking in a corner for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, it was there were a few things, Kojak things developed, Starsky and Hutch things developed, but there were
no
some
arc
things.
with Heart to Heart.
There was no arc, no. I mean, like, if you look at Murder, She Wrote, that has sort of got quite a long arc, but then you look at series like Schitt's Creek, and they have a very definite and beautiful arc that covers the whole of the set of series. So
also with things like Murder, She Wrote, you had recurring characters who would come in and out, and that would sort of fill out the arc. You know, it would give it meaning.
Yeah, and occasionally recurring actors who would play a different part as well.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
We watched.
In fact, I've forgotten his name. What's the name of the doctor?
I don't know. Just make the show even longer.
the doctor that sort of is in most of it for the last 8 series or something did occur. Many of the characters that became characters, and Seth and the sheriff, they occurred in the earlier series.
They played other characters.
Yeah.
We watched The Bake Off, Stand Up to Cancer on Channel 4. Well, I can take it or leave it, frankly.
It was fun, but I can't remember what happened.
But the favourite programmes, I think, this week were the 70s, Everything We Loved and Lost.
Yeah.
Channel 5.
Yeah.
Really good nostalgia, trip down memory lane.
There was a bit, that was on, Channel 5, there was a bit of sort of having a go at Delia Smith, because she was showing us how to eat pasta. But in the 70s, many people didn't really know how to eat spaghetti.
We had spaghetti.
Yeah.
I remember quite regularly. But people didn't really know how to cook pasta properly. People didn't know really what to do with it other than spaghetti bolognese, or what we used to have was spaghetti with a cheese sauce. Which was a very cheap meal to have, because there was very little cheese in it, I can tell you right now. But things like that were simple and considered a little bit exotic. Lasagna was very, very exotic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, things that were popular were tinned pasta.
Yeah.
Tinned macaroni cheese.
Yeah.
Tinned spaghetti hoops. Tinned spaghetti with tomato sauce.
Alphabetti spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes. So that was fun. We also watched Sally Lindsay's 70s quiz on Channel 5. That was quite fun once it got warmed up.
Yeah, it was. I mean, as you most probably guessed, they had a 70s weekend of which these form part.
Yeah.
That was fun, yeah.
We continue with the secret genius of modern life, and this week's episode was all about the motorway.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting, seeing as we ride the motorways quite often.
For a sake and back, certainly.
I've been driving the motorways since I was about 20, so you become very familiar with the motorway layouts, the signage, some of the technology that occurs. But this was all about that technology and how the signs are manufactured, the design of the signs, how that came about.
And the lettering.
And how it came about because there was so many different types of signage on the roads at one point because they hadn't decided on a standard to use.
And I assume different councils who were responsible would use different fonts for lettering and things.
And it was becoming too much, it was becoming too confusing, and also people worked out what people needed when driving at speed in order to be able to read the sign quickly. So they came up with a font, an ideal background colour and letter colour, and that's the standard that we use. The huge blue signs that we have
in the UK
on our motorways with standard lettering is what is used now. And of course there are different coloured signs for different reasons. So for example you have brown signs with white lettering for places of interest.
Yeah, like Kew Gardens or Wisley or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting one. And also it talked about...
And red signs for danger and things, isn't it? Yeah.
It also talked about the technology that exists beneath the motorway surface. So for example, there are sensors built into the motorway which tell the control centres how to manage the traffic and the speed limits to prevent clumping of vehicles and unnecessary tailbacks, which are caused very often by people braking inappropriately and driving too close to the cars in front of them. So it was quite an interesting programme.
There were these, we talked about these induction loops that when you drive over, there's often squares in the road which have sort of like a rubber outline, and those are actually induction loops that when the car goes over it registers how fast it's going or how many cars are going over at a time to determine speed. And when we were driving down to the Great Green Barn, we were going, oh look, there's one.
Things you never notice unless it's pointed out to you.
Yeah.
So yeah. And the other programme that we've started rewatching is As Time Goes By with Judi Dench.
Yeah.
This is
and Jeffrey Palmer.
And this is the story of Jean and Lionel and how they become reunited. A good watch, a very good watch. Classic comedy. What channel was that on?
I'm not sure that's. I think it's on various channels and you can pick it up. Yeah.
So that's it. That's it for this week's show. Yeah. Time to say goodbye.
Yes, it is.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
What?
You said say goodbye, so say goodbye.
Yeah, you don't need to do it in a weird way, Paul. So thank you very much for watching, and remember, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
And get the notifications
and the
as
bell.
well, the little bell. Yeah.
So take care. Toodle pip. Au revoir.
We'll see you next week for another upload of Sunday Chat.
And it might not be ours, it could be AI.
Oh, maybe it is. AI bananas too.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If we say tits and bums are bananas, it's going to throw in a banana and a tit and a bum.
Carry on, Richard and Paul. Yeah, there we are.
That's a new franchise. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.